Welcome back to another exciting journey beyond our planet. Today, we're diving into the latest groundbreaking mission as Northrop Grumman prepares to launch the Cygnus cargo spacecraft on a voyage to the International Space Station. Washington. A Northrop Grumman Antares rocket launched a Cygnus spacecraft carrying supplies and experiments for the International Space Station Feb. 20. The Antares 230+ rocket lifted off from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport at NASA's Wallops flight facility in Virginia at 12:36 p.m. Eastern. The Cygnus spacecraft separated from the rocket's upper stage 9 minutes later. The Cygnus spacecraft, flying a mission designated ING-15 by NASA, will arrive at the space station early February 22 and will be berthed to the station by the Canadarm2 robotic arm. The Cygnus will remain at the station for about 3 months. The spacecraft is carrying 3,810 kilograms of cargo, primarily crew supplies, science payloads and station hardware. That hardware includes equipment to support the station's life support systems and spare parts for the station's toilet, as well as an additional, alternate sleep accommodation, for the station now that there are regularly 7 people on the station rather than the 6 that had been the standard for years. As with past cargo missions, the ING-15 mission is carrying a diverse array of science experiments and supporting equipment, such as a Hewlett-Packard Enterprise computer system designed to allow researchers to perform data analysis on the station rather than having to transmit the data to Earth. Other payloads include studies of artificial retinal implants, protein crystal growth, and a radiation sensor similar to one that will be flown on future Orion spacecraft. The increase in crew size has translated into increased time for research, NASA officials said at a February 19 pre-launch briefing. Joel Montalbano, NASA ISS program manager, said the agency was averaging about 35 hours per week of crew time devoted to research prior to the arrival of the Crew 1 mission, with 4 astronauts on board, in November. That has since more than doubled. After departing the station, Cygnus will deploy several CubeSats from 2 systems provided by NanoRacks and Spaceflight. Frank DeMoro, Vice President and General Manager of Tactical Space at Northrop, said the Cygnus could perform additional experiments with the spacecraft itself, before it performs a destructive re-entry. The Cygnus spacecraft is named the SS. Katherine Johnson by Northrop Grumman after the late black mathematician who supported early NASA missions and was one of the central figures in the book and movie Hidden Figures. Johnson died last year at the age of 101. She is an inspiration to so many people, especially women of color, and proved time and time again that racial barriers and glass ceilings are breakable, and shouldn't have been there in the first place, said DeMoro. Upcoming ISS activities. The Cygnus will be the second cargo spacecraft to arrive at the ISS in less than a week. The Russian Progress MS-16 spacecraft, launched late February 14, docked with the station in the early morning hours of Feb. 17. NASA is planning to conduct 2 spacewalks from the station February 28 and March 5. On the first spacewalk, NASA astronauts Kate Rubins and Victor Glover will perform work to prepare for installation later this year of new solar arrays. On the second, Rubins and JAXA astronaut Soichi Noguchi will carry out several maintenance tasks outside the station. The station will then prepare for the arrival of 3 spacecraft currently scheduled for the month of April. NASA and Boeing plan to launch the CST-100 Starliner on a second uncrewed test flight no earlier than April 2. To prepare for that mission, Montalbano said the Crew -1 astronauts will relocate their Crew Dragon spacecraft from its current docking port to an alternate one in the latter half of March, freeing up its original docking port for the Starliner. The Soyuz MS-18 spacecraft is set to launch to the station April 10. NASA announced February 9 that it's proposing to fly a NASA astronaut on that mission, which is currently scheduled to fly 3 Roscosmos cosmonauts, filing a procurement solicitation about its intent to do so through in-kind services rather than a cash payment. Montalbano said at the briefing that there were no updates to those plans because the procurement solicitation was still open. That request for sources sought closed later February 19, and he anticipated that afterwards, we'll have the information and be ready to take the next steps. The SpaceX Crew 2 commercial crew mission is set to launch no earlier than April 20, transporting astronauts from NASA, ESA and JAXA to the station, allowing the Crew 1 mission to return to Earth in late April or early May. Montalbano said that NASA is in discussions with SpaceX about the failed Falcon 9 booster landing on its February 15 launch to see if it involves any issues that could pose safety issues for that Crew 2 mission. "We have an agreement with SpaceX to talk about any anomalies on any missions," he said. "As of today, we're working with them to better understand what happened, and right now it's just too early to say if we're going to have any impacts on the Crew 2 mission." Why is Cygnus unique? The Cygnus system is a flight-proven design incorporating elements drawn from Northrop Grumman and its partners' existing, flight-proven spacecraft technologies. Cygnus consists of a service module and a pressurized cargo module. The Cygnus spacecraft is used to carry crew supplies, spare equipment and scientific experiments to the space station. The service module incorporates advanced avionics developed by Northrop Grumman and guidance and navigation components that allow for fully autonomous rendezvous with the space station. The avionics design fully meets all of the demanding NASA safety requirements imposed on human-rated vehicles. The pressurized cargo module is manufactured by Thales Alenia Space specifically for Cygnus. Cygnus Space Freighter arrives at Space Station with 8,200 pounds of cargo aboard. The Cygnus ING-19 cargo freighter arrived at the International Space Station on Friday, August 4, after a 2-day space ride with 8,200 pounds, 3,700 kilograms, of supply, experiments and new technology aboard. The craft, built by U.S. aerospace giant Northrop Grumman and named after astronaut Laurel Clark who perished during the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster in 2003, was the last to launch on a version of the company's Antares rocket using a first stage built in Ukraine. The craft arrived at the orbital outpost at 5:52 a.m. EDT 0952 GMT on Friday when it was captured by the space station's robotic arm operated by astronauts Woody Hoberg and Frank Rubio. Berthing was confirmed around 8:30 a.m. EDT 1230 GMT. Hatch opening is scheduled for 1 p.m. EDT 1500 GMT per NASA television. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things space. Thank you for joining us, and until our next adventure, farewell.